Thoughtless pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panmo TV, and welcome to this. It's another reply video to Stefan Molyneux. Previously, we were talking about pets, and now we're going to talk about something else. That's right. We're having another little analysis of Mr. Molyneux. Mr. Molyneux of the decks makes it so quick. Two tracks melt into one. That's right. We're having big fun. So kick back, relax while we do it to you in your eardrum. Let me hear you say universally preferable behavior. Let me hear you say resources. Let me hear you say non-aggression principle. Yes, indeed. The Mr. Molyneux himself has once again compelled me or urged me to put photons onto celluloid. Now, in fact, this is really, really strange. I mean, you may think I'm being a little bit arrogant here, but I got this. Just checking this. Yeah, still working. Yeah, you may think I'm being a little bit arrogant here, but when I got the idea to do this video, I thought, my God, this is a really important video. He's brought up a really, really important subject. He really has. I mean, it's a strange. I don't often get that feeling. Now, you viewers might disagree, and you may think I'm sort of clickbaiting you here. And you in the comment section, you say, "Oh, Ben, that was a waste of time." I was expecting some kind of announcement that 3i Atlas has changed course or something. Oh, that might come up, but no, it's not. But I'm sorry if you feel I've let you down in that respect, but I'm just giving you my impressions when I got the idea to do this video. And I got the idea the other day when I was listening to Free Domain Radio, program 5,955. He's done all those programs. My God. I mean, I've done over 1,000 videos, but I've got up to 5,000. He's actually over 6,000 now. This was like a couple of weeks ago. He actually uploaded this or posted this. This what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a little segment from this particular program, this particular Free Domain Radio program. And what I'm doing is it's not the entire program. The entire program is almost 2 hours, so it's a shorter. It's only a segment of that. But I must say, I haven't really cut much out of it. I mean, when I do these videos, I sometimes do edit it for brevity. But I would never edit it to misrepresent Stefan. I mean, as much as the thing about Stefan Molyneux is, he is one of my favorite podcasters. I think he's brilliant. I think he's really, really good. And I do, but at the same time, there's times when I just think he's talking complete crap. Sometimes he really fills my head with inspiration. He really does. Other times I just think, well, just sort of add something to my notes. Just one moment. Just say this is sort of like I may make additions to my notes as I go along when new ideas pop into my head. I won't edit those out, even though this is not a live stream. I just want to it'd probably be too many for me to edit out. But sometimes he talks complete crap, and it's usually those times when I feel that I need to reply to him, just to try and put him straight, to correct him in that sense, or correct anyone else who's listening to him. Give you a bit of background. Obviously, this thing behind me is the EastEnders banner. And, well, what's that got to do with Stefan Molyneux? Well, all will become clear because EastEnders is directly related to this. But I should point out that EastEnders is a program I've talked about many times in my BBC videos. The one I did at Mablethorpe last year was very good. That's a very good version of that talk where, in a sense, EastEnders, I've said many, many times, has a particular type of storyline and characters. And some of the characters who are very bullying and aggressive, even downright malevolent, are celebrated as heroes. Whereas characters who are empathic and kind and less aggressive are disgraced. There's a reason for that, which is connected to this particular video. So that's why I've got this banner behind me. This is why you can see in the background the logo of EastEnders, the banner of EastEnders. So let us begin. Now, we'll begin, I think, I'll just play you the notice jingle, the bumper jingle I've changed. What do you call them? I've forgotten the word I use for it. Every time, what I do is I go through, first of all, making notes. I go through the audio I want to play for you, making notes. When I come across a point of interest, I want to stop and do some commentary. I'll make a note of what that commentary would be. And on the video, on the recording, I put a little noise or jingle or a sound or a beep or something like that, which will make us and make me realize I've got to stop and address my notes for the commentary. Now, in terms of this particular audio, I first had just the idea of having like a beep or something, but then I choose different custom-made audios which are relevant and also humorous and sometimes a bit ironic to the subject matter of this particular video. And let's have a look at the let's have a listen to the jingle that I've chosen, shall we? This is the jingle. Let me just open up the particular show. Here we go. This ain't over! So it is, of course, Phil Mitchell. Once again, we had him on before. Do you remember? Who do you think you are? And now we've got him saying something else. Because, of course, Phil Mitchell is one of these conformist male ideals. He's one of these kind of superheroes of EastEnders. Oh, I don't believe it. Liberace's back. Yeah, he's one of these superhero kind of like ideal men. He's the one we're all supposed to want to be like in EastEnders. I think there's a real reason. There's a distinct reason for that, which is connected to the subject matter of this video. So let us begin.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to do because I was waiting.
No, just keep it short. No, don't give me the wall of text.
This ain't over! Don't give me the wall of text. Goodness me. Just let him speak. You know, why? It's Stefan. Molly does this to. I mean, I'll say more about this in a minute. But, you know, he does this to people. No. This guy's trying to talk and talk and talk, right? He's trying to talk and trying to have a conversation with Stefan. It's not an interrogation. Stefan is not like some judge or barrister in court. He's having a conversation with people. But he's always like barking directions at everyone, everything like that. And so I say, just let this go, Stefan. Just let people speak in their own way, will you? Do you remember my previous video reply to Stefan Molyneux, actually, which is all about pets? Do you remember? And in that particular video, I include this segment, which is like nothing to do with the actual subject matter, but it's this 10-minute rant he goes on. And I just say, to people, look, I'll play this, and at the end, can you guess what it's about? Can you guess why he's bitching and whining at his listeners like this, and the members of his locals group, and things like that? And no one could. I don't know if anyone guessed it but it was. You know what it was? It was someone posted a spelling mistake in the live chat. They posted a spelling mistake in the live chat.
So you were eavesdropping, and you heard some negative things about yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's wrong with people saying negative things about you?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yes, there is, because it upset you. And you went to go and fix it and prove to her that you weren't what she was saying or whatever it was, right? So don't gaslight me, bro. It bothered you.
Gaslight? I mean, I wish now he's accusing him of gaslighting. Perhaps Stefan doesn't understand what the word gaslighting means. Gaslighting is a specifically targeted attack against the person, trying to drive them insane through confusion and insecurity. That's what it is. I mean, to just give you a bit of background, this caller called in and he talked about how he was sitting in a restaurant with someone, and there was this woman there who he knew, who started talking about him to her friend in earshot of him, and started saying derogatory things about him, knowing, not directly to him, but to someone else, knowing that he could hear. This sort of thing has happened to me, by the way. And when women do it, it's even worse, actually, than when men do it, for reasons I won't go into in detail, but it is. And that's how this is the background of this particular discussion. But this guy, and now all this man is speaking to Stefan in his own way, and Stefan says, "Oh, you don't gaslight me, bro." Like, he understands, like anything this man does is in any way qualified as gaslighting.
No, I thought you meant like in the moral language, like morally wrong.
Okay, that's the least clear interpretation. Okay, what's the problem? Let's say, what's the problem of people making negative comments about you?
The problem is it invites other people to do the same thing, and it's just like a huge circle jerk of bullies just kind of thinking that you're weak and spineless because you're not getting up for yourself or someone else has already done it to you.
This ain't over! Oh, God. God, don't encourage him, for goodness sake. Yeah, don't encourage Molly. Because well, this is kind of setting up the situation that's coming.
Okay, so do you know why she made these negative comments in a way that you could hear?
Yeah, because the way I was dressed.
No, absolutely not. Because she's a troll, and she was taunting you. And you fell for it. You got triggered. She's probably a bit of a sadist, and she looked at you, and she sized you up. And she probably...
I hate that phrase, sizing you up. It's sizing you up like you're in a boxing ring or something. But that, unfortunately, is how a lot of people see life.
Probably figured, ooh, I know how to get under this guy's skin. Oh, yeah, I could read him like a book.
Pardon me. It's over! Now, you can already sense, I think, the lack of sympathy there, the sense of indignation that is very typical of Molyneux. He's done this before. I mean, I've spoken before about the time when he was in a previous show. There was a previous show he was in, and he was like, this guy was talking about his experiences, and Stefan was saying, yeah, they can just sense you're a pushover. You're giving out signs that sense you're a pushover. And this theme began, of which I'll come to, the theme which is also a part of this particular video.
I don't know what to say, because are we sticking with the theoretical, or should I try to look for action on what I can do to change, like, about myself? Like, I just have to do, like, internal investigation. Like, I just don't know what to do.
Okay,
like,
so I'm probably going to have to stop the call, because I know you're by the side of the road and all of that. So I'll talk about it a little bit afterwards, but we're just going round in circles here, because I'm trying to lead you to some sort of place of insight, and you keep jumping out with these endless statements of helplessness. So I have doubt that you want an answer. You may, in fact, just prefer your helplessness at this point.
It's over! You see, if he spoke to me like that, I would end the call. This is typical of Stefan being a dick to his callers, and I've said this before. I make this complaint about him on a lot of shows that he does, and he's dealing with people who are not. It's not like talking to me. I mean, if I was talking to him, I wouldn't make the same mistakes that these people are making. Probably, that is interrupting, being unclear, speaking in a tone they would not normally use. Someone shouldn't use when they're on the radio. That's because these are people who are not used to being interviewed or speaking publicly. I am, so I would handle it differently, like I do when I do interviews with other people. Like I did this one with Owen McDonald, Ren McInnes, and people like that. But Stefan has no patience for them. He just berates them when they make these mistakes. This could be the first. This guy. I don't know who he is. This is probably the first time ever. Yeah, I'm guessing most likely that he has actually been on a call live on a radio show or recorded on a radio show, which other people are listening to. And Stefan is basically castigating him for not being trained in this, for not being an expert. Now, what really makes it bad, if you want to call into one of his shows, you've got to pay him. You've got to be a member of his locals group, which means it's behind the paywall. You have to sub to him. Now, I made this complaint on the pets video, the last one I did in my last reply video I did to Molyneux. These are people who are paying him for the privilege of being on his show and posting in his locals groups and such like that. They're paying a contribution a regular contribution, which is recurring to do this. Okay, now I don't charge people for commenting on my videos or my live streams. All right, and if I ever do like interviews with people, I don't charge them either. I don't do many sort of interviews and discussions and panels, but when I do, I don't charge people any money for them. I don't charge people for anything on her panel except for my books. You got to buy my books, and that's it. But you know what? I wouldn't treat my commenters in the way Molyneux treats his. I let them do it for free, and I treat them with more respect than Molyneux treats these people who are paying him. And you know what? It's really funny, because at the end of that particular show, 5595, he says, "Oh, I'm a little bit disappointed because we've had no donations tonight. We've had no donations. Come on, guys. You know it's only fair. You've got to give me just some donations, right?" Well, maybe this is why, Stefan. Maybe they didn't like the way you were treating your paid member of your locals group who calls into the show. Maybe that's why. Think about it, mate. Look in the mirror.
Oh, I do want an answer. For sure, I do want an answer.
I'm giving you an answer, and then you jump out of the conversation and say, "Oh, but what do I do? I don't know what to do. What do I do?"
Give them a chance.
So just don't respond.
Okay, so I'm gonna. I can't do it at this level. Do you think I'm trying to give you a
can't do
script
it.
here, or trying to get you to understand something about your life? Or well, I'm
He's
gonna
like a teacher at school, honestly.
write down what Steph says that I should do. Do you think that's the purpose of philosophy? Is for me to give you a fucking script?
No.
No.
Or is the purpose of philosophy to
Tell him
lead
to
you
get
to some
lost.
understanding, so you can
Tell him
figure
to
out
get
what to do
lost.
on your own?
Yeah.
So why do you
yeah,
keep
for
telling
sure.
me, Steph, tell me what to do? What should I do? Tell me. You understand? This is not what I do. And you know that.
Right.
Dearie me. It
So I
is.
keep trying to lead you someplace that's got some insight to it. I think it's right. I can't prove it, but I think it's right.
I think he's doing his best, this guy.
And you just keep jumping out of the conversation and asking me to give you a script.
Well, look, the point I made earlier, this guy, he's talking to you as he would talk normally. He's not trained or experienced in radio interviews. So please, why don't you cut him some slack?
This ain't over!
Well, to be honest, I sometimes feel Molly's annoyance. I mean, it sometimes comes out in my reply to comments videos where someone is posting a comment and it's completely incoherent. There's no capitalization, there's no punctuation, the spelling's bad, the syntax is all over the place, his grammar is useless. I'm obviously dealing with somebody who's barely literate. But I try to be patient with those people in a way that Stefan never does. And as I said, I don't charge them either.
No, for sure it is right, because I know with my father, you would for sure. He always gave me dirty looks whenever I would see him watching TV. If I was walking by and I made noise to use the bathroom, he would start saying, "Oh, effing and mother effer this, another effer this." He's making noise again, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just like anything that I would do to even just show that I exist was a problem.
And I completely sympathize with that. And of course,
I do too. I mean, I know I have problems with my dad, which I've talked about, but he wasn't like this. I mean, my dad. A lot of people complain their father was too aggressive. The problem I have with my father is that he was the exact opposite. He lacked aggression. He lacked the necessary natural aggression that all people need, especially men, which led to me coming to harm indirectly because of what other people did to me, which he did nothing to prevent.
his dirty looks meant something because he had so much power over you. Right?
And people have power over my dad. My mum did. His current partner did. Everyone else did. And they for all I know, it's probably still happening. They treat him like shit. And he can't stand up to them.
Because he was your father. He was in control of your whole life. So his dirty looks meant a hell of a lot. This woman's dirty looks, right? I mean, in a rational sort of object. Now, you gave her power over you, like, holy shit, she might make sure that I don't get this job. Like, you gave her all this power over you, and you let her get under your skin when she's just...
This ain't over!
Yeah, I get the feeling, I mean, this person, I mean, I don't know specifically. I mean, the guy doesn't go into enough detail, but I suspect what he's dealing with is a girl boss. It's connected to his job and jobs he was applying for.
See, here's the thing. I think you were kind of bullied. And there's always a question, right? Why am I bullied?
Why am I
bullied?
Notice that. Notice the passive voice. It's not why is so-and-so bullying me, or why are people bullying me, or even a specific name. It's always why am I bullied? Why am I being bullied? Is the passive voice. I'll come back to that point.
And the answer usually is because of something I'm doing. I mean, I think if you would go...
What would someone have to do for that to lead to bullying, and for somehow that bullying to be justified? I mean, Stefan doesn't actually go as far as to say it's justified, but he comes pretty close. And I mean, he's going to make some pretty... He does it. I mean, I'll come in a minute what he says in a minute, but this is what's implied. This is the undertone that is expressed in this case, and I'll return to this point several times in this video.
But to most people in life and say, have you ever been in a situation where somebody is trash talking you in a restaurant and you can hear it, and they say 5 negative things about you, I think most people would say no.
Well, it has happened to me.
I've certainly never happened to me. I mean, I've obviously been bullied.
Oh, yeah. I don't believe you, Stefan, but carry on.
But that's not happened to me, and I've never heard of that happening to anyone. Now, this doesn't mean that you're sort of uniquely cursed or anything like that, but it means that you're giving off a vibe that
You're
is
giving
telling
up, you
people
see.
how to screw with you.
No, that's right.
And now, a
your
kind
fault.
person will get that and won't screw with you. But an unkind person will get that and screw with you.
This ain't over!
Yeah, it's a kind person will get that and they won't screw with you. But an unkind person will get that and screw with you. Now, when it comes to kind people, some of them won't only get it, some of them will actually work to protect you. And I've done this myself. Going back to when I was at school, if I saw a kid and I knew he was weak and he was frightened and he was in a vulnerable position, I would actually take active steps to protect him. I'd sometimes make friends with these young kids just for that purpose, and I still do that to a certain extent. It doesn't happen, I don't very often get that kind of opportunity or am in that position. Whenever I do, that's what I do. But you know what? The bad thing is, the awful thing is, and I don't think Stefan realizes this. In fact, I was talking to someone else about this when I was actually in Warminster. If you are the kind of person if you're the kind of person who's like, nobody messes with me, nobody shits on me, man. You know, if you're that kind of person, then, and this includes Stefan, you probably don't realize this, and you probably have no way of knowing this, because people don't show that side of themselves to you because they know they won't get away with it. But it's only when you realize, when you are the type of person who is vulnerable, that you realize how few people are actually kind. And in Dad, I do recommend watching my confession video. It's actually a reply to Stefan Molyneux. It's called My Confession, a reply to Stefan Molyneux. Maybe I should add that to the links to the links tree in the description box, actually, because it's so relevant to this. Now, Molyneux's anti-bullying story is coming up, and I'll have a lot to say about it. And I think it's rather dubious. It sounds a bit too good to be true. But it's pretty clear now he is in a position where he won't see people for who they are. Because when you are the kind of person who nobody messes with, no one will mess with you, even if they want to. When you are the person everyone can mess with, everyone will mess you except those who don't want to. And that's what my confession video is all about.
I'm not saying do you agree, but you sort of understand what I mean.
For sure, and someone else has mentioned this to me before, but I kind of doubted it. But coming from you, I take it more seriously. So no, I appreciate it.
So the key thing in the world is to say, what am I doing that is inviting bullying? So, for instance,
what are you doing?
What
are you doing to make this happen to you?
I don't know, 13 or 14 years old, I was playing a game of Defender in a bowling alley in Don Mills, and somebody wanted to play. I was doing really well, and they unplugged the machine, this other kid, right? And I called him a jerk for doing that.
Well, he was a jerk, yeah. I remember those old arcades. I mean, I'm a little bit younger than Stefan, but I still had those things. I played on them when I was a kid. When you put 10p in the slot, and it was like you could blow an entire week's pocket money on those machines, which were really cool computer games, much better than the home computer games we had in those days. Not as inferior, I'd say, to modern computer games, but you know, in the 80s they were the thing.
And anyway, so a day or two later, his older brother, who had these sort of glazed psycho eyes and was like, I don't know, 17 years old. And, you know, the difference between 13 and 17 is pretty considerable when it comes to kids. His older brother said that he was going to kill me because I had punched his brother.
Well, he just called him a jerk, but he lied, yeah.
Right. So clearly the younger brother had gone to his older brother and lied about me. And the older brother was hunting me for some time in school. And I remember I was walking up the stairs, he was walking down the stairs, and he punched me hard in the shoulder. And of course, there's really nothing I can do, right? I've got no father. My older brother was across the ocean, and I had no particular protection. It never crossed my mind to go to the authorities, to go to the teachers or the principal or anything, because, I mean, that would just be terrible, right? They'd go and make it worse.
Yeah, the bullies would make it worse if you grasped on them. And also the teachers, in my experience when I was at school, the teachers did nothing to stop them. I'll come on to that in a minute, actually, because I got this when I was at school. I mean, I'll explain later the kind of treatment I got when I claimed that I was being bullied.
Yeah. And
I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't really bullied very badly at school. Most of my bullying happened in my own home.
So I was nervous to go to school because this guy was big and I thought actually kind of psycho and dangerous. And he's like,
and I was nervous at home because a bigger psycho guy, an adult actually, among several other people, was picking on me.
"You're dead, man." He just kept, and I had to sort of, like the usual thing, had to look around the corner, and I was scared to go to the bathroom, that kind of stuff, right? Because you don't want to get injured or attacked or something like that, right? Now, the funny thing is that this all just died off. It all just died away. I don't know if he found out the truth, or I don't know if he just got bored or whatever. And I actually met him some years later, and he had no memory of me at all. I still remember the guy's name for what it's.
Yeah, you see, that's happened to me. I've bumped into people I've known at school. I mean, and some of them, and I've had Facebook friend requests from people, including people who now, of course, I haven't seen for like 40 odd years, and then they pop up and say, "Hey Ben, hey, remember me? We were such great mates, weren't we?" And I thought, "No, we weren't, you cunt. We weren't great mates. You were a tosser. You treated me like shit. I mean, like I said, I didn't get beat. I didn't get like physically bullied very often, but some of them, some of these people did like physically attack me. A lot of them were like very mentally cruel as well. And so I just said decline. I just immediately clicked decline. One of them actually contacted my brother because he knew him as well. Because I turned down 3 friend requests from this guy. And of course, if you get 3 declines, you can't send any more. And he actually went to my brother and he says, "How come Ben keeps turning? Why won't Ben accept my friend request?" And my brother just said, "Look, just leave it. It's I can't really comment on that." But my brother came to me and said, "Look, this guy's contacted me and asked why you won't accept your friend request." And I says, "I'm not going to act as a go-between to you. I'm not going to act as a go-between with you." And I said, "I'm not asking you to." I said to my brother, "I'm not asking you to. Just tell him you don't know anything about it."
It's worth. So I could. Was he wrong to bully me? Well, yeah, of course, right?
What
Was his brother wrong to lie about me? Well, yeah, of course, right?
This ain't over!
Was he wrong to bully me? Was his brother was this man wrong to lie about? Was this kid wrong to lie about me? Was his brother wrong to bully me? Well, you said yes, of course it's wrong. Are you sure, Stefan? This is really the only time he makes this point. And it's always followed with a but. It's always followed with a but. I mean, I think this is literally the only lip service he dips his toe into in this entire interview, where he makes that point. It's wrong to bully other people.
But these are just facts of nature. There are cruel people and liars and sadists in the world, right? There's this woman, Dr. Karen Mitchell, who talks about this on X, and she's guesstimating 10 to 20% of the population, which is a little bit higher than estimates I've heard before in terms of like really negative personality structures. But these are just facts. It's like it's a fact that there are bad drivers. So you've got to drive defensively. When I was biking everywhere, it's a fact that there are bad drivers who don't check their blind spots. It's a fact that you're biking along and somebody's going to open a door and you're going to slam into it. So you've got to be really careful and look for people in the cars. Now, should these things happen? Nope.
Oh, once again, he's should these things happen? No, well, no, let's move on.
But they do.
But they do. See, but it's always a but, isn't it?
It's a fact.
This ain't over!
Now,
it's a fact, man. It's a fact. It's just the way the world is, man. It's reality. It's the dog eat dog world, man. Survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest. It's the law of the jungle, man. It's the law of the jungle. I feel like I want to take my hat off and turn my back to do a Charles impression. I haven't done one of those for years, and I'm not going to do any more. But I won't do another Charles impression. But well, Stefan, I can't face facts because I'm such a wide-eyed idealist. This is just like the backslappers. Really, I think these people who go, "It's a dog-eat-dog world, man. It's a fact, man. It's just a fact you have to deal with, and I can deal with it, and you can't." I think these people are literally just. It's just like the backslappers. It's the same mentality as the backslappers. And they say there was just this horrible old lady who used to go to probe. Her husband. Her husband died, and I sort of left. This was somebody I sort of like. Well, I put up with her for her husband's sake because her husband is one of the nicest. He's the sweetest, kindest old man you can possibly imagine, and I adored him. He was lovely. And when he died, she wrote to me and told me. She wrote to me and told me, "Oh, he's died. I'm afraid he's died." She had this horrible Brummie accent. "I'm afraid he's died." And in the same bloody email, she said, "I've got a few of his old UFO and paranormal books if you want them, Ben. You can come and pick them up if you want. I'm just going to throw them out otherwise." In the very same email where she was informing me that he died. Oh, God. Anyway, I left it about a year, and I wrote to her and just told her what I bloody thought about her. And I wrote a Panmo Voice article about this, actually, if I can find it. But it sums up the whole thing. I mean, I'm sorry, this is slightly an aside. It's not really relevant. But I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to show it to you. And you can go and read it. I'm not going to read it out because it's not relevant. Let's keep going down here, man. It's up here somewhere. I feel fantastic. No, this is not the one, is it? Is this the one? No, where is it? Here we go. It's this one, I believe. Yeah, it's this one. All right, here we go. It's called I Feel Fantastic Again. This is like a follow-up article to a previous one I wrote. And you can check that out. It tells me all about it. But basically, she once told me she in this really condescending, patronizing way, which only which is really at the lowest of the low. As I said, I would have just told her to get lost if it wasn't for this other guy, Frank. That's not his real name, who I really was very fond of. And he used to go to the probe conferences, and he was so enthusiastic about UFOs and stuff. And I thought he was so cool. And unfortunately, he came as a package with his wife, and I wasn't going to drive a wedge between them by treating them differently. But she said, "Oh, Ben," when I used to make these kinds of points to Frank, and she would butt in and say, I wish we lived in that kind of world, Ben, but we don't. And we just have to face up to it." And I think that's really so condescending. And then another thing he kind of goes into is he says, "Yeah, but it just happens. It's a fact. There are bad drivers out there, and there are people who are going to open their door when you're driving along on your bike and there's these cars parked. Sooner or later, someone's going to open their door and catch your foot and rip it open and stuff like this." All right. That actually happened when I was a kid. My dad was in the car. He actually did that to a woman. He was very nice about it. He drove her to hospital, stuff like that. Admitted he was wrong. Told the police it was his fault. So he did that, to be fair to him. But I mean, I don't know many people who will wait and they'll sit like that with their car door and they'll wait till the bike's coming and then they'll go like that and open the door deliberately in front of the bike. That's what bullies are. Now, it's like, again, this comes back to the passive voice. He says things like, "I was bullied. I have been bullied. You are bullied." Not a person bullies you. "I have been bullied." No, sorry. This person bullied me. This person is bullying me. Let alone giving names and actually calling the person as an individual what they are. The person who's made the decision to bully you. Stefan is all very keen. He's always very, 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 very positive and very, very keen on the idea of taking responsibility for your decisions. Yet when someone decides they're going to bully a vulnerable person just because they can, Stefan says, "Oh, no, he was just bullied by this person. And it just happens. It's a fact. It just happens." Yes, it shouldn't happen, but it does happen, and we just have to deal with it, man. We have to deal with this factual situation, and he's almost talking about the bullies as if they're inanimate objects. It's kind of like almost a force of nature, like the weather. I went out today and it was raining and I got wet. I went out today and this person came up and they bullied me. It's the same thing. The bullies have no agency. They have no. They are innocent, basically. And he will go on a bit more about that in a minute. Here we go.
My particular solution to being bullied was what?
Ignoring them?
Well, many people. For many people, the solution a lot of people take to being bullied is to become a bully themselves. And again, I think that's not unusual, and I don't think it's accidental either.
Nope. You can't ignore the facts of reality, and the facts of reality are that there are bullies.
To bullies, man. The facts of reality. It's the facts of reality, man, which I can face up to and you can't. So I'm superior to you, man. Yeah. These are the people, if they were conspiracy theorists, would be backslappers. They would be backslappers, but this is the alternative. This very same mindset, the very same drives and the same desires leads people into this. It's just a fact, man. It's a dog eat dog world that I can face up to and you can't, man. It's the very same mentality among the normies, which leads them to take this attitude, as the conspiracists leads them to become backslappers. They're identical.
Getting angry with just the fact you had, like a not great brother, that guy that would take advantage of you.
Angry at things I cannot change is a form of helplessness. It was not that. You got to think about taking 150% responsibility. Whose fault was it that I was bullied?
So if...
It's over!
Yeah, to continue his metaphor, you're riding along on your bike and there's a person in the car looking at you approach with their wing mirror and they think, I'm going to smash this bloke up. I'm going to smash this cyclist up. I hate cyclists. I'm going to smash him up. And then just as the bike's getting close at a high speed, open the door deliberately and the bike smashes into it, right? Well, who's to blame? According to Stefan's logic and his ethics, the cyclist is to blame. The cyclist has to take 150% responsibility for that situation. And the guy who opened the door deliberately, well, he didn't do anything wrong. He's blameless. Bullies are blameless. Bullies are innocent. Bullies are just... They're just doing what everyone does. It's a force. It's human nature. It's just human nature, man. It's just human nature. That's another poser's phrase, along with dog eat dog, survival of the fittest, law of the jungle. It's human nature, man. You can't change human nature. Yeah, and I can face up to it, man, because I understand it, man, and you don't. And that makes me superior. Yeah. Now, just imagine that one of these antagonists is actually listening to Stefan at that point. What's the message they're getting? The message they're getting is that they, the bullies, have done nothing wrong. The victim is to blame. The victim has to take 150% responsibility for what this bully has done to them. Blameless bullies, blamed victims.
Yours.
That's right.
Well, he said yours. Oh, shut up! Don't bloody agree with him. Stand up to him.
So what did I do?
No, here we go. As again, this is Stefan's journey out of bullying is coming up.
I would assume the posture, the way you walk, the way you talk.
I'm hoping this guy, maybe because Stefan was like pushing him around earlier, it feels like the willpower's gone out of him. I don't know who he is, but he seems like to have fallen into line.
Maybe some vocal training just to make sure you sound like you have a macho-ness to you. I don't know. Like those are the kinds of... Sorry, I don't know if this is making sense.
Well, I'll tell you what I did. I started exercising. I started working out. I started running. I joined the swim team. And I became physically strong, which I have now maintained for over 40 years. I still work out 4 hours a week or more, not counting just incidental stuff. So I can't just fake things and, if I have slightly better posture, I still have no muscles. Now, for me, when I worked out, I was not ever bullied again. And the reason for that is that it just changes how you appear in the world. It changes your scent. It changes your posture. It changes your eye
I don't want to know about his scent.
contact. Moving through the world as a physically strong male is an entirely different planet than the average soy boy.
This ain't over!
No, I mean, I do wonder, like, if... See, I think I'm maybe a little bit overcritical of myself, especially when I remember my past. And like I said, I wasn't really bullied badly at school, not compared to some kids. And in fact, I actually tried to defend the children who were being bullied. It got worse when I got into the hospital, and I've spoken a lot about that, and I do wonder actually how well I did in that. I say more about that in my Syntheos videos, but did I react badly the way Stefan is accusing his caller of reacting when this girl boss was like taunting him and humiliating him in this restaurant? I mean, you see, if you watch just watch my Syntheos videos, or better still, listen to the Gas Banner and read the HPWA blog where I talk about this. But, you know, maybe I think I have a little bit of self-paranoia from my past.
So I didn't sit there and say, well, I don't have a father and my brother's away and this guy's too big and his brother lied to me, sort of collapsing into self-pity, which I understand and I'm not sort of condemning or anything like that. But if I say, okay, look, there are bullies in the world, what am I going to do about it? Now, I guess I could have, well, no, I couldn't. So I had to do everything that was free or dirt cheap. So I just started lifting paint cans off.
Yeah, this is the famous Stefan Molyneux rags to riches stories. He's trying to paint himself like a hero for one of Ayn Rand's novels.
My balcony. I couldn't afford a gym. There was no gym that I recall at the school. But you know, as soon as I made a little money, I was able to buy some free weights and so on. I still have pictures of me when I first started working out, chicken chested on the balcony.
You know, I mean, I'm not. Some of this is true, no doubt. And I mean,
so I said, okay, it's my fault. I shouldn't say it's my fault. It's my responsibility to deal with bullying.
why did you correct yourself? Why don't you stick with my fault? Because that's what you're thinking.
What can I do? And I decided to start working out. And that solved the problem. So I don't know what signals you're giving off that people know they can mess with you in this kind of way. But right now, they're right. You did get messed with. You did get upset. You did get tense. And so she exercised power over you. She got to crank up your fight or flight response. She got to mess with your head. She got you to react. Right?
This ain't over!
Yeah, and I mean, I do wonder how did I react? I mean, when I think about the nasty, the evil, the nasty and vicious people I met and knew at the hospital, I think I probably reacted quite well in those situations, having thought about it, however upsetting it was that happened. Yeah, as I say on the Gas Banner, HPWA. But, you know, I mean, in a way, you see, I'm going to say a bit more about this in the end, but, you know, there's what Stefan did in terms of, you know, working out and getting stronger and fitter. That's always a good thing to do, especially for a man. It is always good to do that. Leaving aside the fact that I disagree with him on this sort of responsibility and blame point. I do recommend people do self-improve. And yeah, I mean, on a practical level, I'll come on to this in a minute, but you know, I understand in a way where Stefan is coming from on a practical level. If you are completely amoral, I understand exactly why he said this and why he's doing this.
And then you fell right. Listen, I say this with sympathy.
Well, show some then, Stefan, and stop berating and stop criticizing him and stop victim blaming.
Because Lord knows I've done that, particularly on social media, you know, fall into traps, get provoked. I get that. So I'm not criticizing you from any
that's something I've had a lot of experience of, as you know, if you watch my famous Watford video. Yeah.
superior standpoint. But what I am saying is that I think you're putting off signals that say to people, well, if you want to mess with me and you want to push me around and you want to control my heart, mind, and soul, Here are all the buttons. Now, again, good people don't push those buttons. The bad people will hammer them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This ain't over!
But how do you tell good people from bad? How do you tell? As I've said earlier, Stefan, I don't think Stefan has any idea how to tell good people from bad. I think, well, at least he doesn't have half as good an idea as this other guy does. I'm actually going to make a note right now. Confession. I'm going to actually add it before I forget. Vid as a background. All right, so I'll put the when you go to by the time this comes out and you get the chance to watch it, you'll see that I have put the confession video as a reply to Stefan Molyneux as a background to this particular one, because in a way it's kind of a part 2 to that. It's kind of a part 2, this one I'm doing now. So it's kind of a continuation. But Molly is meeting bad people and exploitative people and bullies all the time. And they take one look at him and they listen to him and they see his posture and his eye contact and his voice and all these other things. And they think, I'm not going to get anywhere with this bloke. I'm not going to get what I want from him. Therefore, I'm going to leave him alone. Or at least, or maybe worse. Maybe it's worse. Maybe I'm going to bide my time and wait for him and screw him over another time in another way, which he won't expect. Now, if you are the kind of person who is vulnerable, you learn who the good and bad people are. You learn. And in my confession video, I explain exactly how. And as I said, Molly can't possibly know this, but it's quite frightening how few there are. Pseudo-psychopathy is almost universal in society. And there may be there's many reasons for that, some natural, maybe some contrived. But pseudo-psychopathy exists. The vast majority of people are pseudo-psychopathic. It's a bad thing. I mean, it's awful to be. It's worse being, in a way, to be a pseudo-psychopath than a psychopath, because psychopaths have no conscience. But pseudo-psychopaths do, but they just suppress it. They suppress it because they feel they have to for reasons of conformity and peer pressure and the need to fit into society. But, it never goes away. It's like having a credit card you keep spending on and never pay back anything back. Eventually, it maxes out. Pseudo-psychopaths eventually reach the point where the bills come in. And it's when they hit that point, it's pretty awful.
And then you talk yourself into, well, it's important. It's a good thing. I've got to go. I fix this person's perception of me. I've got to make sure I get this job. So you talk yourself into reacting. But my question is always not how do I deal with bullying, but why is there bullying at all?
This ain't over!
But that isn't your question, Stefan. That is the one question you never ask in this entire video. For you, you've just already said, you've already not complained, but you've already stated it's a fact. It just happens. It's something we have to deal with. It's inevitable. You've never asked why it happens. You've asked why people allow it to happen, why the victim allows people to get away with it, but not why people bully. Now, a little comment on Molly's journey to freedom out of the world of bullying. He was just 13 years old, and this kid picked on him once, and then he worked out, and no one messed with him again. He joined a swimming club and the athletics team, and now he carries himself with a posture and eye contact. I don't know that that's false, but I suspect it is. And the reason I suspect it is because I think Molly paints a very rosy picture of himself. And he's not alone there. We all do that to a certain extent. I believe all of us at some point do that. I've done it. Where we are essentially our own best hagiographers. So when we meet other people, even if we do it just subconsciously, we want them to see us as good a way as possible, which means we may sort of bend the facts a little bit to do with our past, for example. And I've done that, I must admit. Now, this is not necessarily malevolent because these are not lies of deception. They're not intended to deceive anyone. They're similar to the lies of... There's different kinds of lies. There's lies of discretion as well as lies of deception, which, again, there's no injured party. In this case, with these kinds of lies, there's no injured party either. Unless, for example, you For example, if you pretend to be some war veteran and you go to people and you elicit sympathy from them and they give you donations, that would be an exception, all right. That's it. But that is a lie of deception, all right, as well. I mean, I know that no one messes with Molly now. I know that Stefan Molyneux is a big, mean, virtuous, towering strength, a leviathan of philosophy, and that no one would dare to have a go at him now. And he has found a way to become that from what he was. But I suspect that the real story of his journey out of bullying is much longer and more tortuous than he is claiming in this video, in this particular show. I mean, he in the same way that I do wonder if he really did go gold panning in the frozen wastes of Yukon, where he had to use a flamethrower against the ground so it was just soft enough to dig in because it was frozen so solid, and he had to walk all night, and because he couldn't sit down because if he did, he'd freeze to death. And when they were desperately trying to get back to the camp, and this guy had a torch and was waving it through the woods saying, "Come here, come here." I'm surprised he didn't say he met a Bigfoot. And there was that story about how he was so irresistibly sexy and handsome that this publisher said to him, I will produce your play and I'll publish your novel if only you shag me, and things like this. This beautiful woman who tried to seduce him and said, I'll if you shag me, I'll publish your book and I'll produce your play and I'll hire you for this role when you're acting and stuff like that. Again, that sounds a little bit too good to be true. And so I do question that. I don't know specifically if it's false. I'm not going to outrightly accuse him of lying when I don't know, but I find that dubious, as I do his story about how someone just bullied me once and then they never got away with it again because I became the perfect person who never gets bullied, man. Again, it's a kind of backslapper story. Let's carry on.
What are people reading about you? Like, I'll give you this is a speech, right? So you can, if you could mute, I'd appreciate it.
Pray silence. Everyone be silent. Stefan Molyneux was making a speech.
That, because I'm certainly getting some background noise. So here's a speech for you. And this is very, very important speech for you, for me, for everyone. I was just talking about this with someone this morning.
I can't hear any background noise.
Now, my assumption in life is that everyone knows everything. So I was talking, but sorry, could you please mute?
Yeah, I'm trying to get to it. Sorry. Oh, there it is. All right.
This ain't over!
I didn't hear any background noise. Maybe maybe Molly is hearing things through his earphones that don't come out in the audio of his show. I don't know. I don't know exactly how his audio system works.
So my assumption is that everyone knows everything. I was talking to someone not too long ago, and he was talking about a habit of lying. This was
Sorry if you're getting background noise on the microphone. I know a lot of you complain about this. I have a bit, I breathe and I might sniff and things like that. And maybe I should get. I thought about getting one of those other big microphones that sit in front of you, but I hate the look of those in front of your face. It looks like I'm giving some Bigfoot a blowjob or something. There's big microphones like that go like that. Yeah, it's a big Dr. Stephen Greer. Yeah,
I don't know, a couple of months ago. I was talking about a habit of lying, and I said to him, "Everyone knows you're lying. Everyone," and we've all had this experience where someone says something and we're like, "Nope, don't believe it." Picture it didn't happen. Don't believe it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know when some drunk storeman was propping up at the bar at the social club and telling me about how he was a treasure hunter and he was deep sea diving some shipwrecks and pulling gold ingots out. I mean, I knew that wasn't true.
And then the question is, if everyone knows we're lying, what's the purpose or value of lying, or why do we lie? If everyone knows it. In other words, if they're just colluding with us to pretend that they don't know that we're lying, why would we lie if everyone knows that we lie?
Sometimes people just don't bother. They just can't be bothered. They just let people tell their tall stories and get on with it. When these storemen used to catch me in a corner telling me their tales of heroism, I used to sort of go like that. Nod along. We got it in a minute.
Well, the reason we lie, even though everyone knows we're lying, is we're signaling to bad people, come closer, and we're signaling to good people, go away.
This ain't over!
Well, that explains why good people are so isolated, doesn't it? I mean, I'll come back to that point, actually.
Because if a good person suspects that you're lying, and not just a little white lie, how are you, fine, or whatever, right? And not, but a fairly significant lie, or a lie that is repeated, or some sort of repetition thing about lying, and they sort of don't really trust much of what comes out of your mouth. So if good people start to believe that you don't tell the truth very much, or you certainly can't be relied upon to tell the truth, they will tend to avoid you. Now, the bad people...
Well, they may not, because they feel they have no choice, because they don't want that isolation.
They know that you're lying, and you're signaling that you're one of them. So it's like a dysfunctional mating cry or tribal cry to dysfunctional people, or to messed up people, or to corrupt people, saying, "Oh no, I'm one of you. I'm one of you. We get along. Gonna get along just fine."
This ain't over!
That's a very bad simile, Stefan, because you talk about these bad people as if you're comparing them to, like, as I said, people who are drug addicts and things like that, dysfunctional people. But I'm sure you really know this. But in our society, it is the good people who are the dysfunctional outcasts. As Martin Luther King said, we are the maladjusted. And this is, I think, maybe the central point of the video I'm making right now. A lot of good people, actually, when they come across people, they know they're lying. And I mean, I've fallen into this trap myself. I don't anymore, but I've fallen into it in the past. Is I don't want that loneliness and isolation. I don't want it. And I can't face up to it, or I couldn't. So I would just realize they were lying to me. And these weren't just little white lies. They were black lies of deception. And I would allow them to avoid to avoid that ostracism. And it was a big mistake, which I stopped making, but I did make it.
Sorry, you've just unmuted?
Oh, I can't hear him.
Just mute and then don't touch your phone. I mean, you're just acting out your father's competence thing, right? So I get that. All right.
This ain't over!
Stefan, it's a mute button. That's all it is. Even Freud would roll his eyes at that. Oh, you're just acting out your father's incompetence because you unmuted at that point. Why don't you just go on a 10-minute rant about it, like you did about somebody's spelling mistake the other day?
So everybody knows. Everybody knows. They know. Everybody knows. And so everybody knows if you're insecure. We all think that we hide these things. In general, we don't. Because all human beings are experts at reading body language and posture and eye contact and, the splotchy, there are people in Japan.
Oh God, the back. I think the backslappers won't like that, because how much the backslappers love their statement analysis and their body language and stuff like that. If it turns out everyone can do this, and that they're not special anymore.
Who want to not show that they feel ashamed, and they've actually had surgery to remove the blood vessels that lead to them blushing.
Really? Surely, I mean, if that's true, that's bloody awful. That's awful. That's worse than that girl. Do you remember I did a video about that girl who had her legs extended, having this very painful and high risk operation to make her legs slightly longer so she wouldn't be so short. Oh God, I hope not.
Because blushing was too much of a giveaway in negotiations or gambling or something like that, right? So everybody knows everything. That's my assumption. Everybody knows everything.
This ain't over!
I mean, I find there's very few people I find more obnoxious than the person who thinks they've got me sussed and tell me so. I've had people like that saying, they'll make some comment about me, and I says, you don't, and it's false. And I say, you don't know that about me. You don't, or they'll say, they'll make some assumption about me, and they say something like, well, you never played football when you were a kid, I guess, Ben. I said, how do you know that? I says, you're not the football playing type. And I'd say things like, well, you don't know me well enough to know what type I am. And they say, yes, I have, Ben. I've got you sussed. And I just want to tell those people to get stuffed. I really, really do. And it's a really arrogant and very, very patronizing way to talk about people. This old lady I mentioned earlier, she used to do that. Frank's wife.
And so we think we're hiding all of these things, but we're not. So this woman needled you from a distance because she knew that you would fall for it or fall into her trap, and she was right. And she also knew that you would approach her and that you would be helpless and that she was going to win. And so she got a thrill of power by pushing your buttons. And, you know, a lot of people do that. They get a thrill of power out of pushing your buttons, making you do stuff, remote control, right? If you feel helpless in your own life, which is probably a father story, if you feel helpless in your own life, it's pretty easy to feel a sense of power and efficacy by pushing other people's buttons and making them do what you want, right? Dance, monkey, dance, right?
This ain't over!
Yeah, this is the tough lesson I had to learn when I started out at the hospital. Even though I sort of knew it a bit from school, and certainly from home, but I should have known better, I think. But yeah, humiliation. Everyone knows what humiliation is. Everyone has probably experienced it. Everyone knows what it feels like. But that I understand. What I don't understand is the desire to inflict it on others. Why anyone would want to inflict it on another person. I've never had that desire. I've always found it a repulsive idea. Why others don't, I don't know. I've discussed this before. If you actually, again, listen to the gas banner, the HPWA, I go into this in detail. Read the HPWA blog. I talk about my experiences at the hospital in that regard. Or just watch my St. Theo's videos as well on Panmo TV.
So everybody knows everything. Why do people push you around? Because they know they can. They know it's going to work. Now, when I started working out and started becoming more athletic and started getting some muscles and all of that, people stopped messing with me. Right? So when you are pushed around, the first question to me is, why do they think they can get away with it, or how do they know they can get away with it? Now, that's a self problem. Bullies, I know this sounds kind of funny and odd, right? I thank the Lord above, I thank the universe for the older brother of the guy who unplugged the video game machine on me. He was one of the greatest and most benevolent beneficiaries that I've ever had. Benefactors, right? He was one of the most wonderful, amazing, positive benefactors I've ever had in my life. If I had the choice between winning the lottery at that age or having that guy threaten to kill me, I would choose having that guy threaten to kill me. He was fantastic. And he may very well have saved my life. Like when I got cancer and I bounced back from it pretty quick, one of the things that the nurses and doctors said is like, well, you have great health as a baseline. So that's going to help you overcome this. So he might have actually saved my life. He certainly has extended my life by many years by having me focus now for over 40 years on a fairly robust exercise program. So bullies are antibodies trying to overthrow your weakness. Bullies are saying to you, you are walking around exquisitely vulnerable. Stop that. You are walking around with these big giant buttons all over your body. I'm going to hit them, so you put them away. So you can look at bullies as mean people that want to put you down, this, that, and the other, right? Or you can look at them as giving you feedback that you should already know, giving you feedback that you should already have. And I'm telling you, I know this sounds odd, and I'll give you sort of one other example. Bullies can be your greatest benefactors. They can be some of the greatest help you will ever get in this life.
This ain't over!
Do you know what? This may surprise you, but I'm kind of going to agree with him. I'm going to agree with Stefan on that. Maybe in a slightly different way, but he has a point. Ian R. Crane, the late, great Ian R. Crane, who I miss terribly. I also miss him all the time. He said that on a spiritual level, I know Stefan's not talking about it. He's talking about things on a different level, on a sort of day-to-day social, materialistic, this world level. But sometimes Ian's used to say, well, he was quoting some Buddhist, but he said on a spiritual, on the level of the spiritual plane, sometimes the greatest gift a soul can give to you is to be your enemy. And sometimes some of the most character building experiences you can have and soul developing experiences you have is to face antagonism from other people. You may have heard this story. It was in a children's book, actually. I think it was from one of the Steiner schools. They talked about the two souls in heaven who were going to incarnate onto earth, and they loved each other. They were great friends, and they'd always incarnated together. And just before they're about to be born into the world, one soul turns to the other and he says, "You're going to hate me down there, and I'm going to do you a lot of harm. Please never forget who I am. Just keep it in your mind. Remember who I am." And this reminds me very much of the film Cloud Atlas. We should do a watch. It'd be nice to do a watch party for that, but unfortunately, it would probably go on to about 7 or 8 hours. I've done a very, very long review of the film Cloud Atlas, which again I should show you, shouldn't I? If I can find it. But you know, this film is probably my favorite film that I've ever. It's probably the best film I've ever seen. I can't find it now. Oh, here it is. Here it is, my friends. This is my review of Cloud Atlas. Here, you can just go to Panmo Voice, and you can read my review of it. It's the most incredible film I've ever seen. And it's about that. It's about these souls, constantly reincarnating souls that keep returning to the earth again and again and again together. In different roles, in different bodies, in different positions, different personalities, interacting with each other in different relationships. Sometimes someone who might be very close in one life, even married and in love or best friends, will just pass them very, very briefly in another life, but influence them in a certain way. And sometimes it's the very, very same spirit can behave in a very, very different way. Sometimes very benevolent in one, sometimes very benevolent in one life, sometimes very malevolent in another. But it all contributes to this development as they keep coming in and out of incarnation over a 500-year period from the past into the present and into the future. It is really the most extraordinary film imaginable. It's an independent film. It's the highest budget independent film ever made, and it is so good. It is so good. And so, yeah, it could be that the people who have harmed me in my life are like those souls. And as Ian has said, maybe thank the Lord for them. Thank goodness for them. What would I be like if I'd never had these negative experiences? Would I even be doing Hapanwo at all? Do you see what I mean? And so on one level, I think Stefan, believe it or not, is right about this point.
Because they're honest. Everybody else was stepping around the fact that I was weak and vulnerable. The bully was like, "Oh, here we go. I'm gonna make being weak and vulnerable hurt for little Steph, right? I'm gonna make being weak and vulnerable hurt. I'm gonna make him scared."
This ain't over!
Well, you know, maybe those people weren't actually stepping around you. Some of them were. Some of them were sort of like pseudo-psychopathic and like most people, and considered it irrelevant, and they just didn't bother. They weren't sadistic enough to abuse you, but at the same time, they weren't kind enough to want to protect you. But maybe some of those people were actually the minority who were actually nurturing and kind, and maybe in their own way they did want to protect you. So maybe they weren't as indifferent. Some of those people weren't as indifferent as you thought they were.
Okay. And what happened as a result of that? I got strong, and nobody has really bullied me to my face ever since. So you look at bullies and you feel weak, helpless, and sad, and upset, and angry, and I get all of that, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. But what are the bullies trying to tell you? They're trying to tell you that you're putting out signals of vulnerability. The bullies are telling you it's clear as day to everyone in your environment that you bully yourself. Everybody can see that you bully yourself. And you better fix that. Otherwise, you're not just going to have mean people say mean things about you in a restaurant. Somebody's going to beat the shit out of you and take your money. Or somebody's going to exploit your weaknesses and take your life savings. Or kidnap you. Or like, you could look at the bullies as antibodies, or in a sense, traditional style vaccines there to give you smaller suffering.
This ain't over!
Yeah. Well, firstly, the kid again. I can only reiterate that the kidnappers and the fraudsters who take your life savings and the people who beat you up and do these things. Again, Stefan, if you're saying that they're in any way innocent, then shame on you for that. That's the end. That's all I want to play you. He goes on to talk a little bit about his deplatforming and the silver lining to that, which is cool. Now, what Stefan has said in this particular video, I understand on one level it makes sense. We all need to function in this world to a certain extent, and if in certain circumstances I might give somebody the same advice that Stefan has just given this guy. I would, but I would possibly give him that kind of advice, and I would advise him actually to work out, become stronger, become fitter. I think that's a good thing to do. But what I would avoid, which Stefan hasn't, and this actually happened the other day, I mean, I don't know if I could tell this story now, but I did actually meet someone who was in a vulnerable and a difficult position, and they said to them, "Oh, I'm too nice, I'm too sweet, I'm too gentle," and I said, "There's nothing wrong with that. It's the bad guy. They're bad guys who do it to you. It's not you doing it. You're not doing it to yourself. They're the ones doing it to you. They're to blame." But there's this undertone. I would avoid that the undertone, as I did with this person. I would avoid the undertone. I mean, I understand. I know what that undertone is. It's all too common. It's very established. It is an ethical equation that I comprehend completely, and it has been applied to me many times. That bullies are innocent. Even the bullies are good. Not good in the sense that Stefan and I were just talking on a kind of educational soul level, or making you aware of the feedback that you should have. But they're good because they abuse for the sake of that abuse. And even if everything he said is true, right, that it's in the sense, not in the sense that of the beneficial aspects of experience in the ways that we meant it just now, but in his original point, bullies just happen. It's a fact. We have to deal with it. Someone out there is going to be a bully, whether you like it or not. Yeah, I know that's a fact. I'm not naive, as the backslappers would call me, and this horrible old cow that I met from in Probe. It doesn't mean I have to just accept it and do nothing to try and change it. Because, whenever I even suggest that, people go, "You can't change it, man. You can't, because this is just the way the world is, man. It's the way the world is. And it's human nature, man. It's the survival of the fittest. And it's the law of the jungle, man. Yeah. And you can't change it. And you have to face up to it like I do, man, because I'm so superior." Right? Even if that's true, it doesn't mean I have to accept it and I don't try, because that person preening themselves for being so worldly wise and being the top of the predator at the top of the food chain, man, and looking down their nose at everyone else, does it mean they're necessarily right? As you know, because they'll say that, like the backslappers do, they'll say that just to make themselves look good and feel superior to others. So maybe they're wrong. Maybe they're biased. Maybe that desire to be superior to others has clouded their judgment. So I don't accept it. I won't just accept it, and I won't stop trying to change it. Because if it's possible to change it, I want to do it. I don't want people coming to me, "Well, you can't change it, man. So there's no point trying." How many times have successful people have been told that? How many times have really, really successful people who faced life's adversity and triumphed been told, "Yeah, don't try it, man. It's not worth it. You're never going to get anywhere." Do you know why Elon Musk, when he started SpaceX, do you know why he called his spacecraft Dragon? There's a story behind it. When he was a kid at school, His teacher, he said he wanted to build spaceships and become an engineer and build spaceships that could go to out to the moon and to Mars and places like that. And the teacher he said in his South African accent, "Don't be stupid, Elon. That's a pipe dream. It's like the book Puff the Magic Dragon. It's about as likely to come true as that." So, in a vainglorious sense, and also hopefully if that to show that teacher how wrong he was, Elon decided to call his spacecraft Dragon. And do you know, I understand in a way it's the temptation to just to blend in, to not be the nail that stands out above the rest, because that's the first one to get hit, as the Japanese say. And again, we're coming back to Japan. I don't know if that story that he told us about the Japanese stopping themselves blushing, having surgery to prevent them blushing, is true. I hope it's not. But in this world, you see, this is the decision other people have made. My father has made. It's not just bad people; it's pseudo-psychopaths and cowards. They also make this decision because, you know, bad people have it so much easier. Bad guys have all the fun. Good people have it tough. It's the good people who are shunned and rejected. It's the good people who can't find friends and partners because no one wants to be with someone or it's very rare you find someone, a man or a woman, who wants to be with someone who can't function in society and make their life easy. So bad people have more friends. They are more successful in the workplace. They get promoted. They find it easier to find a partner, a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It's like the dark side of the force, what Yoda said. It's easier, it's more seductive. And of course, the oddballs get picked on. The eccentrics get picked on. The people who stand out, who don't fit in, not just fit in a functional way, but just don't fit in culturally or psychologically, or they just act different to others. For example, they may be hospital porters who say, "I'm proud to be a porter." You know, that's enough eccentricity to get you into trouble. Who am I talking about, I wonder? Do you know anyone like that? And there's no social cost for bullies. Bullies don't lose friends. They don't lose jobs. On the contrary, they gain more friends because everyone wants to hang around the powerful guy, and hopefully some of the status will rub off on them. Everyone wants to be friends with the nasty boss because they're more likely to get promoted. Or not everyone, but most people do. The pseudo-psychopaths and the cowards want that. I mean, I heard a horrible story. I read it it was a long time ago I read this, but it was an awful, awful story I read. Some parents of a child, a 7-year-old boy, were taken to court. And they were ordered by the court to change the boy's name. Now, this is at the age of 7. That's a difficult thing to do, but they called him David. They called him David. Their surname was Essex, and they called him David, so he was David Essex. The reason was they were a big fan of the singer-songwriter called David Essex. And when this kid was at school, the other kids in the class, they called him Gypsy, because of course David Essex is a gypsy. No, nothing against gypsies, guys. All right, nothing against gypsies. Gypsies can be very, very good. They tell your fortune. They'll tarmac your drive, cheaply, but not very well, but very cheaply. And they will, they'll take your scrap metal away. So as long as that's all they do and they don't do other things, gypsies are fine with me. Good for them. But so they were forced. The court ordered them to change this child's name, and they had to give. At the age of 7, he was given a new name. But what happened to the kids who were taunting him and teasing him simply for his name? Nothing. David was punished by being forced to be stripped of his name and given a new one. The parents were punished by being dragged into court. The bullies received no recourse at all. There's no punishment at all. And I bet there's other examples. And then there's victim blaming. Now, feminists rile against victim blaming when it comes to rape. The rapist who says that the victim was asking for it. Well, she was walking around late at night wearing that short skirt. It was obvious she wanted it, and I gave it to her. Even in the old days, the police used to say this to rape victims as well, to women who've been raped, and the feminists rile against it quite rightly. But then it stops there. That indignation stops at the edge of the boundaries of that crime. And I've got all the time. I mean, it's not just what Stefan's been talking about, victim blaming, but in the law. I mean, there was another issue to do with gypsies. And again, this is not a slur against gypsies. If you're a gypsy watching this, good for you. Anytime. I've got an old fridge freezer you can come and pick up. I'll leave it in my front garden. But there was a team of gypsies in Oxford a number of years ago who targeted supermarkets, and they targeted a branch of Tesco's. And they would go in there, like a couple of them would go in there, and they would pick people's pockets, and they do things like they always act in teams. They'll distract someone's attention, and they'll say, "Look, do you know the price of this? The store person won't tell me. Do you use this? Do you buy this tomato ketchup very often?" and things like that. And while they were distracted, someone else would reach their hand into their handbag. And I knew an old lady who lost her half the contents of her handbag to one of these scumbags. Now, they were caught, they were prosecuted, but this old lady was offered counselling, not from victim support, but directly from the police. If you're ever in this situation, don't take that offer, because the police offered to send them to a welfare officer for counselling, and she was sent to this welfare officer. Now, when she got into this meeting with this officer, the very first question she was asked by this officer was, "What was it about you that made you think those suspects would see you as a good victim, a good target? What is it about you that made those suspects think you would be a good target?" You see, this sort of thing, do you know what it does? It actually has a purpose in socio-political strategy. Do you know? It really, really does. Because this incentivizes pseudo-psychopathy. It weeds out empathy. It incentivizes conformism. I mean, this is something I became aware of. I mean, one of the reasons maybe I became a conspiracy theorist was an experience I had when I was about David Essex's age, 7. I was 7 years old at school. Now, no one luckily told my parents to change my name, but I was sent to this thing called Education for Living, and it seemed like fun. I was glad when it first happened, because I was taken out 2 days a week. I had a lesson, an hour out of class, where I was sent to this separate classroom with about 4 or 5 other kids from my school. And we were given this thing called Education for Living, which involved a lot of play and, reading stories and playing with toys and things like that. And the teacher, I mean, I don't kid you, her name, I remember her very well. Her name was Miss Blow. Oh, what a name. And even back then, I realized something was wrong, because she was almost falling over herself with suggestions about changes I could make to my life to stop myself being picked on by other kids and being bullied. I mean, I did tell her that, the worst of bullying was happening at home, but she didn't. She ignored me over that. Now, what was done to the actual bullies? I mean, there were kids getting worse bullying at school than me. What was done to the kids? Were they taken to special classes and taught how not to bully? No. Were they punished? Were they told it was wrong to what they were doing? No. I mean, it's perfectly. This is creating a situation in which people will just throw up their hands and say, "Well, I might as well fit in." And Betty Shine. Now, Betty Shine is the medium who David Icke mentions. Very famously, if you're into David Icke, you'll know this, because this is the book that he discovered in this newsagent's in Ryde, Isle of Wight. He was just suddenly frozen to the spot, and he heard a voice in his head saying, "Go and look at the books over there." And he went over there and he saw this book called Mind to Mind by Betty Shine, who was a psychic medium. I read that book, and in it she makes this point. She makes the point that many children start out very gently. They start as gentle, sympathetic, empathic children who love animals and things like that. And they're kind to other children, and they want to play with little babies and things like this. And then they are brutalized. And she uses the word brutalized. They're brutalized into becoming different, into changing their ways, and being told that they are the dysfunctional ones. They're the ones that have a problem that needs to be fixed. They are the ones who have a pathology that needs to be cured. And they are brutalized, and she used the word brutalized, into becoming rough, aggressive, nasty children. Not because they want to, but they feel they have to. And this goes on further. This social Darwinism can be found in peer pressure, can be found in adulthood. When I talked about this, and I wrote several articles about this on Her Panmo Voice, I had someone commenting underneath saying that she worked at a record store, and after a shoplifting incident, she was told with which she was involved, she was told she's too soft and too trusting, because it's a dog-eat-dog world, survival of the fittest. So there is the idea, what Betty Shine's point, what she meant by brutalization is you have a binary choice. You can either be bullied or be a bully, and those are your only two choices. And it's true, we are a competitive species. Men especially like to compete with each other, and we naturally form status hierarchies. But this doesn't have to involve violence. It doesn't have to involve suppression and abuse of others. It happens naturally, and where everyone can cooperate, because we are a competitive species, but we're also cooperative, and that cooperative spirit has been drummed out of us. And maybe it's deliberate, because a lot of people deny this. A lot of people in the distant circles deny this. But if we weren't a naturally cooperative species in some situations, we would never have built the civilization that we've built. And is it possible that the reason the Illuminati want to stamp out that cooperative element of us and turn us into basically a melee of internecine abuse and continuous competitive punch up, basically a social punch up? It's because they want to destroy civilization. They want to basically kick us back to the Stone Age, where it's a dog-eat-dog world, man, survival of the fittest, and it's just like whacking each other over the heads with clubs, flipping rocks for grubs, and that's kind of thing. That's what they want from us. That's what they want our future to be. Why have I got this banner behind me? EastEnders. I call it Tavistock Enders, because if you watch it, and I'm not going to go into details now, my BBC video talks about it some more. I've done other videos about it. This TV program, should you be foolish enough to watch it, or be masochistic enough to watch it, is a deliberate socio-political strategy. It promotes this very idea. All the most admirable and successful people, the ones that were most attractive to the opposite sex, the ones who gained the most money and the most material success, the ones who were most admired by the other characters, are psychopathic, abusive bullies, cruel, acquisitive, materialistic, heartless. The characters who are the opposite, the empaths, the kind ones, the gentle ones, they're the opposite. They're trampled upon and spat on by all the others. They're ostracized, they're sexually untouchable, and they're despised, and they're rejected. And you may think to yourself, well, it's only a TV program, Ben. It's just a reflection on society. Well, 9 million people a week watch that pile of crap. EastEnders is not a reflection on society. It's the other way round. Society is created by EastEnders and other media productions as well. And I'll leave it there, because that opens up an entire new subject, which I could talk about for another 3 hours. So anyway, despite everything, I still do like Molly. I still watch his stuff. I still find him inspiring, uplifting. In some cases, he can be uplifting, and he can be very, very. He's given me many gifts. I'm glad I discovered him. I haven't donated to him for a while now because of all this, but I still do recommend his work to everyone. Even when I disagree with him, I still think he has valuable things to say. So that's it. There's a lot coming up. Obviously, look, we're less than 10 days away now from the 3i Atlas-Mars conjunction. So what will happen then, eh? What will happen then? Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to know what's going to happen to 3i Atlas, a lot of you will be going to NASA or to Ross Coulthard, but you don't need to, because everything that's going to happen to 3i Atlas, you will hear first live and exclusive on Panmo TV. So that's probably going to be my next project. So thank you all of you for watching. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.